Good afternoon, fourth grade. Today we are reading a new text. We are going to learn about Aset or Isis, the devoted wife and mother. Today we're also going to talk about cause and effect, but we'll get to that in a minute. First, let's do a quick write. What caused Set to trap Useer in a box and throw him in the Nile River? What is a possible effect of Set's actions? Well, we know that Set's envy or his jealousy of Useer is what caused him to put Useer in a box and throw him in the Nile River. And an effect of his actions are that Useer died, the people of Egypt don't have a king, and Aset is probably really upset because she just lost the love of her life. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the vocabulary. In the small group with me, you're going to focus on how does Aset end up at Kubna Place. But right now we need to focus on these three vocabulary words. The first one is devoted. That means you're loving or loyal. And this person in the middle is devoted to their country because they are voting. All right. The second word is futile. It means incapable of producing any useful result, pointless. And this is this person trying to grab the piece of fruit or whatever on the string. It's futile because he's too short and there's nothing he's not going to grow taller and be able to, get the piece of fruit. So his reaching up is futile. It's pointless. And the last one is grief. And that's the feeling you have when you've lost someone that you love. And this woman is experiencing grief. All right, so before we begin reading, I just want to review cause and effect with you. All right, a cause is why something happened. Why did blank happen? Okay, or why did this happen? And that leads to an effect. What happened? Oftentimes in the text, the author will tell us what happened first. They will tell us the effect, and then they will explain why that happened. It doesn't always work that way, but in our text today, that is how we're going to organize it. First, we're going to look for, okay, what just happened? And then we're going to think, oh, why did that happen? What was the cause? Okay, and the whole time we're going to be collecting evidence for this focus question, which is, how does Aset respond to Set throwing Useer into the Nile River? All right, so we're going to start reading. We're just going to read this first page. So have your pencil ready to underline and label some things. All right, we're going to start reading. And remember, in this first paragraph, I want you looking for the effect. What happened? The god Set was so envious of his brother Useer that he committed a dastardly act. And if we're thinking about our context clues, we know Set threw Useer into the Nile River. So if that was a dastardly act, dastardly must mean evil. Okay? He nailed Useer into a box and threw it into the Nile River. Ah! Screamed Aset. She ran along the shore, arms outstretched futilely. And we know now that she's not going to catch him. She's running down the shore, but our author told us her efforts are futile. She's going to be unsuccessful. She must catch up. She must pull the box to safety. She imagined her husband trapped inside, panicked. She ran. Okay, so our main character is Aset. So we're thinking, what happened? What happened to her, or what did she do? And we know it in the last sentence, underline this. It says, she imagined her husband trapped inside, panicked. She ran. and I want you to label that effect number 1. This sentence is effect number 1. And now we're thinking, why does she run? Why is she running after the box? Well, if we go back up to the first 2 sentences, we know Set nailed Usir into a box and threw it into the Nile River. That's why she's running after the box, because Set threw her husband into the Nile River. So underline this sentence, and I want you to write cause number 1 out beside it. When you're finished with that, you can complete box number 2. In the effect, what happened? Write down this effect. She imagined her husband trapped inside. Panicked, she ran. For cause, why did she do this? Write what you underline for cause number 1. He nailed Usir into a box and threw it into the Nile River. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for number 3. We're going to keep reading. Paragraph number 2. Pay attention to the what happened. That's what we're looking for. What is Aset going to do? But the current raced north, carrying her husband inexorably toward the sea, and the wind blew south, impeding Aset's every step. She ran hard, seeing the white foam swirl of the swift and wild river. She ran harder, hearing nothing but the shriek of the wind rasping her ears raw. The box was already out of sight. Aset had to run yet faster. That was her husband, the love of her life. Okay, so what is Aset doing? We know she is running harder. Underline this sentence. She's running harder. And we know she's running faster. She had to run faster. Underline both of those, and out to the side, write effect number 2. Okay? Effect number 2. And then, why is she running harder and faster? What's happening that's making her run harder and faster? If we go back, we know the current is racing. It's racing north, and it's carrying her husband. So underline the current race north. That's part of the second cause, cause number 2. And we see that there's 3 reasons why she has to run harder and faster. The current racing north, that's the first one. Then it says the wind blew south, impeding Aset's every step. So the current is racing north, the wind is blowing south. So they are working together to carry her husband even faster down the Nile River. So the wind blew south, that's the second cause. And then the last one, it says, the box was already out of sight. Underline that. And then you can put a little arrow and write causes 1 through 3 out to the side. So these are all causes, write cause number 2 out to the side over here. All right. And so then you can complete box 3. It says what happened next? Well, we already have it labeled in our text. She had to run harder and faster after the box. And then why did she do this? Well, we already have it labeled. The current raced north, the wind blew south, and the box was already out of sight. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for number 4. And we're going to read the last 2 paragraphs on this page, and we're going to figure out what happened next. There are 2 things that happen next and 1 reason why. So listen for the 2 things Aset does next. Aset ran all day, all that night, all the next day. Her feet bled, her legs ached. When she arrived at the seashore, she raced back and forth, calling out over the green and blue and purple waters, calling. She rent her hair. She grabbed a clamshell and shaved off her eyebrows. She beat her chest. Underline that last sentence. When it says she rent her hair, that means she pulled out her hair. She shaved off her eyebrows with a clamshell and she beat her chest. Underline that. And write effect number 3. And now we'll listen for the next thing she did. The world spun around this goddess, this woman in love, bereft and alone, and now had no choice but to prostrate herself on the beach and wait for the dizziness to pass, and hope against hope that her husband had managed to get out of the box before he suffocated. Okay, and the next thing she did was she prostrated herself on the beach. That just means she laid face down on the beach. She has given up, and she is trying to believe that maybe, just maybe, he got out of the box. Okay, so underline, she prostrated herself on the beach. Write effect number 3 out beside it. And then we're thinking, why does she do these things? Why does she tear out her hair? Why does she shave off her eyebrows? She beat her chest, and then she just laid out on the beach. Why does she do these things? Well, it doesn't come right out and tell us, but we can make an inference, right? She lost sight of the box. And now she's devastated because she believes she lost her husband. She believes her husband is dead. Press pause to write down your answer. And play when you're ready for the paragraph. How does Aset respond to Set throwing Yusir into the Nile River? Okay, and so when you're thinking about her responses, you need to look at the effects. First she does this, then she does this, and then she does this. And then you can explain in your paragraph why she did those things.